I need personal space. I don't like being touched. I don't like proximity to people. And my dog is like constantly attached to me since I've been pregnant. I'm like, well, she's just preparing me for the inevitable, right?
Hey you guys, what's going on? Welcome back, Strong, Well-Fed, Outspoken. We're your hosts. My name is Rusty, and I'm here with my co-host, my girl.
What's up, guys? I'm Coach Nell.
Yeah, today, you guys, we are doing something a little bit different. Well, I feel like we've done very personal episodes before, so we're gonna bring it back and run a personal episode. If you guys have been listening to the last few episodes, Nell actually already dropped a bombshell and let us know.
Like 3 months ago.
Yeah, Nell let us know that she is pregnant, baby.
Yeah, baby Nell on the way.
Yeah, so we are actually going to just have an honest conversation, a little bit more of a personal life update from Nell in regards to how she's doing. Because and let me say this, if you guys are just hopping on for the first time and literally this is the first episode, like, hey, hi, hello, welcome. We're doing just a completely personal episode today. Go back and, listen to some of our fitness related episodes after this one, because you're going to get an idea for what our personalities are probably just based off this episode alone. Because here's the thing, this episode is not going to be how exciting pregnancy is.
No, and I think so often people are like, oh, pregnancy. And like, it is truly like a very magical thing. Your body can literally create another human. But it doesn't get talked about a lot how horrible it can be or how difficult it can be, especially like because it kind of feels like you're losing your own identity, right? You've curated who you are your whole life, and now suddenly you're kind of the vessel for something else, and you're like, what's happening, right?
Yeah. I've never been pregnant. I've often thought, though, do women actually talk honestly enough about motherhood? Or do women even feel like they're allowed to talk honestly enough? Because I think like being a woman, even without being pregnant, there is definitely this stigma that's pushed more often than not that pregnancy is this absolutely magical, you're so lucky, like this is so great. It's definitely pushed in a very positive narrative. And I'm not saying it's not positive, but I'm saying I want to hear the real. Like right before Nell and I popped on this podcast, we talked about how often if you run into somebody and they're like, hey, how you doing? Our instinct is to be like, I'm great. How are you? When you could actually be like, I'm in a terrible place. I'm having the worst day. But there's something that we even then don't feel. I mean, sometimes it's comfortable enough. Sometimes we feel like we're not allowed to actually be honest.
Yeah, or we don't want to unload on, a passerby, right? Like, or someone that's sort of in your social network, but you're not super close to, right?
Mm-hmm. So sometimes I wonder if that's the thing for women and pregnancy as well.
And I think so. For context, neither you or I are exactly young. So I'll be 36 when this baby is
Whoa,
born.
excuse me, I am very young.
Well, here's the thing: if you're over 35 and pregnant, it's called geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah.
So, but you and I have both coached pregnant women throughout their pregnancies into postpartum. But this is kind of the first time one of us is going through this. Like this was, I never truly planned to have kids. So this is all kind of very new for me. I hadn't done research prior to, I shouldn't say that. I am a pre and postnatal coach. So maybe I did have more knowledge than the average human, but it wasn't like this was what I wanted. And so I wasn't doing a lot of like research preemptively or putting things into play that would maybe benefit the process at all.
I think there's also something different between like you said, you're pre and postnatal certified, but it's like book smarts versus street smarts. Like you hadn't done the research.
And one of the questions I keep asking myself is, would I coach differently? Or have I thought about like, what have I told women in the past? And do I still agree with that? And the good news is for the most part, yes, because I always erred on the side of like, this is hard on your body and that is okay.
As you were saying that, I was going to say probably yes by the end of this experience. Like, not that you'll like change like your beliefs and stuff like that, but I feel like there'll be things, because we often talk about this, right? Like I even talked about being curious about going on GLPs just to be able
to
say
we could,
speak into that experience level, because there is usually such a big difference between learning about something and experiencing it firsthand.
And I will say, I almost, this might sound weird, but I almost feel like I'm going to err on the side of too much empathy now because this has not been an enjoyable experience for me. It's been a really hard pregnancy. I've been
Mhm.
violently ill throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing, like unable to work out ill. And a lot of the women I've coached haven't had that experience. And so
Mm.
I feel like I might err on the side of too much empathy when maybe there needs to be a moment of push or like, you can get through this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like before I was coaching without a bias, and now this has
Mhm.
created a little bit of a bias for me. And I think that's something I'm going to have to be careful of coaching in the future because
You mean like a bias because your experience has been so hard now?
yeah, like I
Yeah,
think because a lot of times women think, oh, I've been through this, so I can coach this. And I don't know that that is always true either, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that that can likewise, like you said, flip the script a little bit
Right?
and
Yeah,
make a little bit of
both sides of
difference.
it.
Weight loss for one person looks very different than weight loss for others because of their body's response, because of their genetics, because of their life, everything. Um, you mentioned briefly about, yes, of course, like you never wanting, really to have kids, like
Yeah, this
straight
was
up.
not the plan at all. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So when you found out you were pregnant, like what was, take us on like that journey. What was the initial thought process? What was the initial reaction? What was the up and I'm sure there was a bit of a roller coaster
Yeah.
there.
So I think at my core, I knew because if you
Mhm.
guys work with us, you know, we track our like menstrual cycles, we track our heart rate, weight, we track a lot of metrics. And I have been lucky in recent years that I have been textbook. I have been so consistent and I'm really aware of how those variables factor based on stress and sleep and all of those things. So I
Yeah.
knew very early. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is not a normal cycle. I think something's different. So I had just get real gritty and honest here. I had missed my period by a day.
Just
And I
one
was like,
day, girl.
something
Wow.
ain't right. I was like, don't freak out. Because I would tell this to clients, like, stress will impact your cycle. I was like,
Yeah.
I know something's different. So I knew a day, like, missed cycle.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah,
Now,
so I obviously took the test. I didn't even look at it. I was like, positive. I know it's positive. And then there's sort of that like, what do I do now? You know, I think this is how teen pregnancy feels. Like, oh, how am I going to tell my parents? How am I going to get through school? Those were kind of the thoughts I was having, which is
that's
ridiculous
hilarious.
because I'm 35.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go back to
then
what you said before, being geriatric, but still the emotions of 16.
so my husband was on night shift and
Mhm.
he sometimes comes home for dinner. So I texted him. I was like, "Are you coming home for dinner?" He's like, "Probably not." And I was like, "Oh no, now I gotta like tell him over text."
Yeah, I remember you telling me this. This is hilarious.
So I sort of texted him, and we've always kind of joked about it, like, wouldn't it be funny if I said this? Oh, because we're kind of dry and sarcastic and whatever. And he goes, "I feel like you wouldn't joke about this. Should I come home?" So that's kind of how we found out. And there was, truthfully, there was like grief, there was fear, there was part of me that was excited because I mean, truly, like we've
Hmm.
always said, if we were to have children, like this is not something we shy away from. I'm
Hmm.
a firm believer in not always being in control of the plan. Sometimes there are things outside
That's
of my
okay.
control, right?
Yes.
So after that first like initial like what do we do?
Hmm.
I kind of felt numb, truthfully. I kind of
Yeah.
felt numb about it. I didn't feel
Just
regret
watch
or
world.
anger, but just like I don't feel joy either. And so
Yeah.
that's
Like
probably
it is
been
what
the
it is.
hardest thing to grapple with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know people that have struggled with infertility. I know people that have only wanted to embrace motherhood, right? And so
Mhm.
I've seen all of these facets and I because of my age, I've had friends that can easily get pregnant, have started their families. I have friends that have struggled continuously. And the interesting thing is my first thought was kind of like for others. How do I tell others without hurting them or taking on their excitement because I kind of wanted to approach it neutrally. And so that kind of still comes up for me a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I could totally understand that. It's almost carrying a little bit of maybe guilt, or just like discomfort in recognizing how you feel versus putting yourself in the position like somebody else's footsteps, which is a beautiful thing. I think even for those of us that don't have kids or never plan to have kids, we probably know people in our life that have struggled to get pregnant and conceive. And even then, right, the beautiful thing is you can put yourself in somebody else's situation. This isn't necessarily something I want, but like I'm holding space for you because I can imagine the turmoil you're feeling, the grief you're feeling and things like that. And you kind of mentioned it a little bit there. You even said like when you first found out there was a little bit of grief. So are you comfortable sharing with us?
Yeah,
like, was there, what was probably like, or let me say it like this, have there been moments during this pregnancy, even still, where you've grieved your old life?
Yes, definitely.
Even while, experiencing the other things, or like things that you're grieving specifically that you know of now that you're pregnant?
I think I've moved past grief to more imposter syndrome, which we can talk about a little bit here. But I think, like, even you and I, we've worked to build this podcast. We've worked to build our careers kind of tandemly. I stepped into coaching not even 4 years ago. And so I'd worked really hard to kind of get into that and put my foot in the door. And now all of a sudden it's like, do I put that on the back burner? And what does that look like? Right. I used to do interviews and I see like a 5-year gap and I go, oh, well, what happened here? And then trying to enter the workforce again. So I had a lot of grief for things like that. Or, like my husband and I have been married 12 years. We've been together almost 20 years. And so there was this moment of like, well, what does our life look like now? Right. Like I bought a motorcycle last year. We were going to take motorcycle trips. Obviously that's not on the table. And there was like these little moments of like, I guess that's not an option now. Right. Yeah. And then from there, I kind of moved into imposter syndrome. Like, is this even something like I should be speaking on or going to the gym? I said this to another coach, actually. I'm like, I actually am excited to look pregnant because now when I go to the gym, people are like, oh, look, she's working out and pregnant versus like, oh, she let herself go. So if you guys don't know, I used to be 210 pounds and I'm still not at that weight yet with this pregnancy. It's within the realm of possibilities because I'm quite tall. But there was this point where like I was working out because I did finally make it back to the gym. And I looked very large, right? Like if you've been pregnant, there's like this phase where you don't look pregnant, you just look like you're gaining weight. And so for me, that was a huge, I guess, insecurity that had come up. And so I'm sitting here telling people like, let's do this with nutrition. Let's do this with your workouts, blah, 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 right? This is my job. And I'm sitting here not going to the gym, gaining a ton of weight and not telling anyone that I'm pregnant, right? And so there was sort of this imposter syndrome that I was dealing with because of what I do for work, right?
Yeah. Totally understandable. It's funny how the imposter syndrome like literally plays into every aspect of our life. You start a new job, you start a new hobby, you get pregnant, you're like, I have no business doing this. Who do I think I am? I think though as well, that does probably tap into, like, I would just imagine again, us having such similar views. I could imagine me thinking similarly. Whereas like I've met, maybe you listening to this have been the type of person who's always wanted kids your whole life. Like you were a little girl, you were already playing mom.
And let me preface this. All of these options are beautiful options, right?
Oh, like, there's no
live your life. Yes, absolutely. This is very much like my personal experience and, just going from there.
Absolutely. Yes. There's in no way like a right or good way, right or wrong way to live your life, right? Like
you are allowed to want something different than the path you were directed on. That's okay too.
Yeah, no, definitely. But absolutely, I think that like identity, almost crisis, we could say, kind of comes into the mix. And you even said it here, right? Like you've worked at building your career for so long. You've seen yourself in a certain light. You had like even just the already fun summer plans with your man and recognizing like some of these things I can probably come back to, some of them probably not.
Yes. Yes, truly.
Yeah. So is there anything then on the flip side that now you never envisioned yourself that you're actually envisioning for yourself that maybe you are feeling a little bit excited about?
I don't know. Because I think in some aspect, I've always sort of had a maternal instinct. I mean, I've had siblings live with me for long periods of time.
And you are the oldest sibling.
Yeah. I'm the oldest of 5. My youngest brother, when he was born, I was already 12. I moved out when he was like 5. So
I think that makes a big difference.
It does. And so there hasn't been a lot of fear, which has been really great. But I don't know that I'm picturing what life could look like because I have spent so long curating what it was going to look like.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right. So yeah, I don't know that I have this like, oh, I can't wait to do this with my child.
Mhm.
I think it'll be special getting to experience those as they come up because it'll almost feel more of a surprise. And as a
Mhm.
planner, I probably need that because I'm like, this is how life looks.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for
And,
sure.
there are already things where I know what is going to be like a pain point or a weak spot for me. Like even when I announced my pregnancy on social media, I joked that like I need personal space. I don't like being touched. I don't like proximity to people. And my
Yeah,
dog is like constantly attached to me since I've been pregnant. I'm like, well, she's just preparing me for the inevitable, right? So
yeah.
I'm finding joy in like those little moments, but I don't think I've pictured things distinctly yet.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. The dog thing is very interesting. I think animals absolutely
Oh,
have like a
she
deeper connection.
knew. It was
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, because even when my sister was, well, this was 8 years ago now, when she was pregnant with her first, and we had our border collie Gypsy, and like border collies, first of all, are so intelligent.
So
But
intelligent.
Holly had said, my sister Holly had said, Gypsy had never been so attached to her. Like she was always just like staring at her, cuddling with her, on her. And my sister was like very pregnant at the time. But still, we were just like, yeah, she's totally going into like, animal protection,
Yes. Yes.
protection
We
mode.
joke. I've got like my people that I update, my mother-in-law, my mom, my sister, they're all, I would say they're more excited than me, truthfully. They've been waiting for years for this moment.
Yeah.
But I send them bump updates, and things like that. But to my sister, because she's also an animal lover, she's a tiny little rescue chihuahua similar to what I had. And so I sent her pictures of my dog, and she'll have one paw on my stomach all the time. And she'll just be like staring at me.
That's
So we've
hilarious.
been finding like little moments of joy and things like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time currently, I kind of feel just like an incubator because
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
most basic tasks feel so tiring. Like
Yeah. Like what?
I carry a big water, what are they, 18-liter water jugs up to the water cooler. I still do that. To be clear, if you are pregnant and they say, like go easy on the lifting, it's relevant to what you've already been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'll hike it up on my shoulder and I'll come up the stairs. And then I'll put it on the cooler. Why am I so out of breath? Stuff like that. So there are definitely moments where I'm like, this doesn't really even feel like my body at this point.
Yeah. Do you feel like all your years of strength training helped you at all so far?
Oh, absolutely. So I was so, so, so sick. I
Yeah.
actually lost weight my first trimester because I was so violently
Nonstop.
ill.
Yeah.
But actually, not just strength training, but the years I put into tracking macros to being diligent in hydration, those paid off hugely because I didn't have to go to the hospital and get an IV for being dehydrated because I was still able to keep my hydration up. I was still getting in enough macronutrients to, honestly grow life to support myself, even though I was really sick because I had an understanding of what the bare minimum was. And so that was super, super beneficial. And then, yeah, absolutely. Even though I had to take a hiatus from the gym, I was able to understand the process really well and know that like muscle mass isn't going to disappear in, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I understood it was okay to scale back in the gym. And then honestly, even going into the gym, like my back squat became my bench press weight,
Yeah.
that was kind of humbling, but I could still do that and I could get comfortable under a bar. And I know my body well enough from years of strength training that it was like, oh, that's what we're talking about when we're feeling like pelvic pain or things like
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
that's been really, really beneficial. And then
Okay.
also, it's kind of fun to be jacked in the gym and pregnant and then just like go in
Yeah.
and do certain things. And people are like, that's really fun
Yeah.
for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we see it on social media, but yeah, I mean, I've never seen a very pregnant woman repping out hip thrusts. Like, for sure, I see the accounts on social media, but I would love to
Right?
see a
Yeah, I'm hoping to
badass
get a
mom
little bit
in
bigger too
person.
so I can really show
Yeah,
it off.
girl, you got to make some content like that
I do.
because it's so cool. And again, never been pregnant, but of course, like we often talk to our clients, our pregnant clients, we talk in general in the fitness world about how being strong, working out in advance helps with your pregnancy, helps with the delivery. We'll have to do like an episode
Absolutely.
after you go through delivery. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things that are probably hard because like it's for most people, it's not like they had like one pregnancy and delivery where they were completely like out of shape, unfit,
True,
and then
yes.
got in shape before their next pregnancy. So they could be like, oh yeah, giving birth, like the childbirth part was like easier or whatnot. But we do talk about how it is supposed to be a lot of a different experience when your body is already strained for stress, strength training, things like that.
Yeah, and I will say, like, understanding how to adapt an exercise for a center of mass that is changing is
Yeah.
one thing. To put it into practicality is another. And I go, oh, this is now a cue I can use that makes a lot more sense, right? Because I can
Yeah, totally.
explain the sensation better. So that will be a huge positive in terms of coaching. One thing I
Mm-hmm.
will say in terms of training that I had to change immediately, and this
Yeah.
is on me. I don't do mobility. I am a hyper flexible person. I never really warm up in the gym. I'll
Yeah.
confess. Since getting pregnant, that has been top tier. I'm like, do the mobility, do the warm up, because everything needs a little extra love. And I
Yeah.
have never had sciatic pain. It's happening hard and
Oh,
fast.
okay. Wow.
So definitely, if you're pregnant and doing nothing, then do your
You
mobility.
need to
If
do
you're
something.
jacked and you're pregnant and you are having a great pregnancy, do your mobility. It will pay
Yeah.
off.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Um, have there been any changes you weren't expecting physically? Like my mom used to tell me that like her feet got bigger.
So I've always been big chested. If you guys
Yeah.
are watching, they're up, they're Dolly
I,
Parton height.
yeah, yeah. The video you posted the week that you tagged me in about the Sunday meal prep, I was like, girl, those girls are coming through.
Oh, so I have always been big chested. Pre pregnancy, I was probably 10 pounds up from my lowest body weight, lowest body fat percentage, which is a pretty comfortable place for me to live at. And I was wearing a 34G.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot wear a
Wait, did you say
34G
D?
now. G,
Oh
yeah.
man,
Yeah, we're past
girl.
double D for me, and I always have been. And so those got big. They're big.
Yeah,
And so that was crazy.
yeah,
And then I am noticing some shifting of like the hips and stuff. We could get into the nerdy stuff, maybe another episode about like what's actually happening in the body. But I'm
yep.
noticing that. So I catch myself like being a lot more mobile when I'm sitting, just to kind of allow things to shift and move. But really physically, the blood volume and the heart rate have been the two that have been most noticeable for me. But
Interesting.
because I had celiac, well, I have celiac, it's not going anywhere. But because I was struggling with that pre pregnancy, it's actually been really cool to see like my skin clearing up and not having the major congestion issues and stuff I have, which is the opposite case for a lot of women.
Yeah.
So I've just been enjoying that truly.
Okay, very, very interesting. Yeah, it is really cool. Yes, like you said about skin clearing up. You know, women talk about like their hair growing faster than ever before, their nails. There's something very, that's where I think you could say very, very well, not just for that aspect, but there are definitely undeniably very powerful things about being pregnant. Like there is
And one thing
magic
I
in
love
the
about
body.
pregnancy, especially having coached women that are pregnant, coaching women that are now menopausal, going through kind of all the phases of life with women, is women are not afraid to eat during pregnancy. And I wish that would transfer into more areas of life.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's funny because as much as we talked about the imposter syndrome, that protection mode almost comes in right away. They
And we
recognize like,
understand like food fueling for a reason. We
yes,
don't understand that to fuel training or to fuel weight loss or to fuel weight gain. We don't
yeah.
really transfer it. But the moment you're pregnant, women are like, I need to fuel this growth.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because I think it almost plays into what we tend to see with mothers in general, which is so self-sacrificing. It's so I'm willing to do this for somebody else, but I'm not willing to do it for me. So
Yes,
therefore, when you're pregnant, you're seeing it as I'm still not doing it for me. I'm doing it for my baby that I'm already in protection mode over, that I'm already sacrificing so much for. But then as soon as that baby is born, you're like, oh, I'm not willing to
it's
eat more
true.
for myself now. And
It's
it's
true.
crazy. That mental belief is crazy.
And I
So
will say, like I've always been do it for yourself. Like if I've put the work in, I like to think. And so this pregnancy, I still do have a lot of that. Like
yeah,
it's not just, oh, I have to grow a baby. Like I'm not putting myself on the back burner, which I
yeah,
think is going to be really beneficial long term.
yeah.
Um,
I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
Are there already things now that you're planning, you've talked to the mans about in regards to when this baby is here, I want this boundary, this boundary, this boundary? Or
Yes. So we've already been planning, like, how do we, both of us, how do we kind of maintain our self identity and how do
yes.
we make that work? Right. So I plan on breastfeeding if possible, but I also want to be able to leave the baby with him and go to the gym for an hour. So, like I'm already looking at gyms with childcare and things like that. And the other thing that has kind of come up, not necessarily about us, but like, how do we want to parent, is how do we talk about our bodies, our food, and things like that around a child.
Yeah.
And because in my mind, I've always kind of thought, and I've spoken with a lot of parents about this, how do we speak about food around our kids? But in my mind, I've always kind of pictured a girl, and I'm having a boy. And I started asking myself, is that conversation going to change? Is that dialogue going to change? And I started to realize that maybe I didn't have it all figured out, because like we joke with my husband and I, we've both gone through weight loss, weight gain. And, once this baby comes, like we're both going to work on our post baby bodies. Right. And we use terms like post baby because there's not going to be this like, oh, get back to yourself. No, you're a different version and you're going to be strong no matter what. It's going to look different. I'm not striving to lose the baby weight or things like that. But then I also think, like, does the information change? Not how I talk about myself, but maybe how I talk to my husband about his body or how he talks about his body.
Yeah.
So that has been a kind of interesting conversation we've had. But yeah, the biggest thing is, how do we and what do we maintain in terms of hobbies, in terms of like us as a couple and connection? How do we, be parents, but also distance ourselves so that's not our only thing? And even now, like in our conversations, like we're not talking about the baby right now. Let's talk about your day, or let's talk about things like that. So I think that's been really helpful, but who knows if we'll get it right.
Yeah. Fair. Okay, let's do something fun. Do you have any idea? I don't, do you know what you're having?
Yeah, I'm having a boy.
Oh, you already announced. Did I miss that?
No, I just said it because that's how I was saying, would I talk about my husband's body differently?
Okay. Wow. Sorry. My jet lag brain.
Yeah. So we're having a boy.
Okay. So you're having a boy. Well, I was going to say, let's get everybody to guess, but you love to throw it out there. Okay. That
Classic
is
me accidentally telling secrets all along the way. I will swear on my life, I'll keep your secret for you, but I will accidentally blurt it out in a casual conversation, not because I'm trying to tell a secret.
That's hilarious. So have you guys already started thinking about any names?
Yes, that has probably been our biggest, I don't want to say argument or disagreement, but we had no boy names picked out.
So you guys thought you would be having a girl before?
Well, he wanted a girl. I thought it was a boy right from day one. And I had some girl names that I kind of liked. I didn't have any boy names that I was like hard and set on. Yeah. My husband is South African. And so culturally, Afrikaners will name their children after grandparents, parents, things like that.
Okay.
I'm Canadian, like 5th gen. And so his first language is both English and Afrikaans, and I only speak English. So now we're like, do we incorporate some of that or do we not? Yeah. And like, how is that going to look? Because like, I can't even say my husband's legal name properly.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. So we've been having a lot of conversations like that.
Fair enough. I could totally understand that. I was going to say, well, everybody guess maybe what a boy name would be, but if it's possibly South African culture related, I don't think anybody's going to guess.
I don't think we're going down that road. If anything, we'll put a J name in there and it'll be like a Y sound instead of J.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's hilarious. Have you had any cravings, anything out of the norm food wise?
I wouldn't say out of the norm for me, but maybe like an increased intake.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not proud to say this, but I've spent over $100 on pickles and olives in the last 4 months. Now, I will happily sit and eat pickles out of a jar on a regular day.
Me too.
So I don't know that it's like, oh, I have to have a pickle and I don't eat pickles prior to that. But because I've been so sick that it's like, don't eat too much or you'll be sick, and you have to eat now or you're going to throw up. So like one single olive or one single pickle at a time has been really, really helpful.
That's hilarious. Well, the pickles, I mean, there'd be something with the electrolytes there.
Yeah, my sodium levels have dropped quite substantially, which is saying something considering I will I'll happily eat salt by itself
Yeah.
on a regular day.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if your sodium levels have dropped and you're spending $100 on pickles and olives,
And like I was the kid where my mom would be like, "That's enough salt, no more."
yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's great. Okay, one more question for you. If the older version of you, not like literally older, but the previous version of
Yes.
you, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, that version of you that really thought, I'm never having kids, could see you now, what do you think she would say?
Honestly, I don't think that anything I would say to myself now is any different than what I would say then, because I don't feel like my beliefs have changed. I don't,
Mm,
my partnership hasn't changed, like relationship hasn't changed. I'm in a career that I'm very supported in. And so
mm.
I think if anything, that past version would say like, you got this, people love you, you're in a
Yes,
good
you're not
place.
alone. Yep.
Right. And so I think even in the past, those versions would say that. If anything, previous versions, so 10 years ago on the 13th was when I had my accident. I was attacked by the German Shepherd. And so that
Mm.
was a really kind of heavy, dark time for me. I think if that version saw me now, they'd be like, props to you, girl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
what life looked like, but that's about it.
Yeah, that is cool actually, especially since that was such a dark time for you. And at that time you were probably thinking, I've lost so many things like I'll never be able to do.
Well, and I truly wondered if I'd be able to do a lot of things on my own. Like I was
Yeah,
at that point, my husband was washing my hair. My
yeah,
mother-in-law was spoon feeding me. So
yeah.
at that point, to even know like, oh, I could actually change a diaper with my own hands. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, like, man, like the beauty and like the miracle of healing, of time, of patience. On that note, like you guys, wherever you are in your life right now, whatever you're going through, it can feel, I think, so daunting. It can feel like this is my story for
Yes.
forever. Like this is where I am, this is what I'm stuck with. As you just said, right? You were like, will I ever be able to do this on my own? And it doesn't matter like you might hear Nell's experience with the dog attack and think what I'm going through isn't as drastic as that, but it doesn't matter because it's
No.
still big for you. And, I know even in going through my own health phase, like at times feeling like I will never get out of this. Like, will
And
my
you and I
hair
truly
even grow
believe that like
again?
your body holds on to the things
Yeah.
that have happened to you.
Yeah.
So it might feel really, really big to you, but you're not sharing that with someone because, oh, it seemed, when I say it
It
out loud,
seems
it doesn't
small
seem big.
in
Yeah.
reference. Yeah.
And you don't need to do that.
No.
You're always healing, you're always growing. And that's really cool. And I keep
Yeah.
reminding myself of that in this process. Like, this is honestly just another like level up for you. This is another layer of who you're becoming.
Yeah.
Because that even people that know me, they joke like, remember when you were scared of dogs and then you got a little chihuahua and you didn't want that, and then you loved that dog. This is going to be the same thing for you, right? Like, so it's been really supportive in hearing that and understanding like people see you healing, they see you growing, and that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So big congrats. If you guys have not told Nell congrats, tell her congrats. Be
You
a good
guys have
person.
all been so supportive, so thank you everyone who's reached out and messaged me. It's truly a delight to kind of get to share this with you guys.
Yeah, that's probably one cool thing about social media, right? Like the highs and the joys that you can share in with, people that do feel very much just like friends and community. There is beauty absolutely in that aspect. So, yes, if you guys have any specific questions on
Yes,
pregnancy or
please.
any questions that still would like to ask Nell specifically, please shoot us a message because in the next 1 to 2 episodes, we are going to be doing an episode on specifically, we'll do like pre and postnatal. So for other people that are pregnant, are thinking about getting pregnant,
And have been pregnant many years
yeah,
ago, because I think postnatal still impacts, moms in their
totally,
50s that have adult children, right? Or
totally,
even like if you're a man listening, like if you know someone in your life, it can be helpful to listen to just to kind of understand what
understand.
you're going through. That's one thing my husband's been very great about. He goes, is this something I should know about?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the more you know, the more you can help, the more understanding. I think the more understanding we have for each other, no matter what, in any phase we're going through, it makes such a difference in the way we relate to each other.
Yes, truly. Because even like understanding, it's helpful to walk when you're pregnant. So invite your spouse or your friend on a walk, but also know that she's going to be out of breath. So just slow that pace down, right? Just
Yes.
little things like that can make such a difference.
Yes, absolutely. So you guys, like I said, drop a congrats to Nell below, message her on socials. Both our social media links will be down in the comments below. If you haven't before, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It helps us out huge, you guys. And then, yes, if you guys have any questions on pregnancy, prenatal, postnatal, please drop those below because we will be doing an episode on that.
Yes, and if you're listening and you're looking for coaching, but you're kind of in the thick of it or newly postpartum, Rusty and I both have a lot of experience in that field. So don't feel like you have to limit yourself on that if you're looking for support and coaching too.
Absolutely. The coaching or the link to hop on a call and chat a little bit more with us on where you guys are at, what it is you'd like to accomplish is also below. So be sure to click that. And until next week, we'll see you guys then.
Bye.